It is now 1 o'clock, so Flash Chat has officially started. And we are going to start with question number 1. Okay. Question number 1 is, didn't it seem a little insensitive of Barry to tell his wife he had to start with Caitlin? Or was that just an acknowledgement that Iris has already accepted his impending death? Now, what I was thinking when I saw that was, I was like, Barry said, I know exactly where I need to start because Frost had formed a Frost dagger and thrown it against the wall. She was obviously frustrated. And they are again, I'm going to talk about it again this week, they are again portraying Frost as a petulant child, as someone that has the emotional maturity of a child or a teenager at best. And I absolutely do not agree with that characterization. Oh my goodness. I just think that's the wrong direction for her. But anyway, so Barry sees Frost form that ice dagger and throw it against the wall in frustration. And then he realizes that I need to talk to her. I need to deal with her. Maybe I need to break it to her. And I thought that was very interesting. I thought that was an interesting thing to say to Iris. So maybe Barry was saying that Iris, you've already accepted it. We're good. I need to start with Caitlin, but I can't help but see the tenderness. I can't help but feel the tenderness. I'm typing that. I can't help but feel the tenderness whenever Barry talks to her, Frost, or about her. Now, I want to remind you, in case you've forgotten, I want to remind those of you listening and watching that the only reason that Caitlin has powers is because of Flashpoint. It's because Barry went back and started messing with the timeline. And remember that Killer Frost called him on that. Killer Frost said, you stopped messing with the timeline when you got what you wanted. You got Iris. What do I have? What does Cisco have? You wouldn't save Dante, which I thought was was one of the most powerful moments in the show. So the only reason that Caitlin has her ice powers is because Barry went back and messed with the timeline. And then when he came back, remember, we had that final scene of Caitlin holding her hand up and she was frosting out. Remember that? So in a very real way, Barry's responsible for Caitlin being Killer Frost because she wasn't before he did Flashpoint. Do you remember that? Okay, this is Polly, P_MACHOR, Polly, Maycor, saying, I thought it was rude for Barry to start with Frost as if she needed the most help because she KOs so much or knocks out so much, runner up to the king of KO lately. And I'm responding that she is written like a petulant child. And if you think about it, Frost seems to only be able to respond with tantrums. You know what I mean? Like whenever something is confronting her, if she has to deal, because she doesn't have any patience, once again, like a kid. And if she doesn't like what's going on, she tends to kind of, drama queen out or tantrum out or whatever. And I'm like, I just do not agree with that characterization and I don't get it. Okay, Fabiola _CEJKU says, crisis is inevitable, no doubt. I think the writers learned their lesson from season 3. Iris barely got over Nora, not sure how she will see it through. Remember, she said, screw the future once. So I don't think she fully accepted it, okay? And to that, I'm going to say, I agree completely. Iris just may be fronting. Okay, Iris just may be acting like she's accepted it, but at the last minute, she might pull some other stuff. She might just be pretending because it's clear she is not over Nora. And I can't blame her. I can't blame Iris after Iris found out that she had a broken relationship with her future daughter and that she lied to her and suppressed her powers and tried everything she could to keep her from finding out who she really was. You can't really blame Nora for having a strong reaction against that, and you can't blame Iris for having heavy parental guilt against that. But then to have that same girl that you've been working on developing a relationship with disintegrate in your arms, which is exactly what happened last year. I just don't believe Iris is over that at all. And I think that that's going to have an echo effect. I think it's going to have residual, lingering consequences. Because I want you to think about something, okay? Iris loses Barry every year. I'm going to type that out. I want you to think about something. Iris loses Barry every year. Most years, it's Barry goes away or gets caught up in something or whatever. Last year, it was Iris was going to lose him through her own death, and they worked very hard to circumvent that. But one way or the other, if you think about it, every year that Iris is with Barry Allen, one way or the other, she's lost him. So now she has a pattern of losing him. Now she's lost her daughter, and she may never get her back. Meaning that even if they have Nora, like Iris said, it won't be our Nora. It won't be the girl that she was trying to repair that relationship. It won't be that version of her, which would really trip me out if I was a parent and I knew one version of my daughter, and then I followed her again, and then this girl is her, but it's not really her because she has a different personality or set of circumstances or whatever. But you have that lingering memory of that child. See, that would have to do something to your head. Okay, let me get here into some more answers. Fabiola again says on answer one, I was about to refer to that. Later, Polly, however, I agree they seem to make Frost vulnerable all the time. That's right. That's exactly right. Even in that training scene, so many emotions, that's Fabiola again. That's right. Because once again, they can't hide the chemistry between Grant and Danielle and Barry and Caitlin / Frost. Can't hide it. It's tangible. It's palpable. You can feel it. Can't hide that chemistry. And I'm typing this no matter how hard they try. Okay? And that's not just me saying that. Okay? It's the truth. It's the objective truth. Okay? It's seen by more people than just myself. Okay? All right. Okay, we're going to move on to question number 2. Question number 2. I am absolutely loving the return to hardcore Killer Frost edginess in terms of when she went in to confront the doctor. I forgot his name, the doctor from Beauty and the Beast. Okay? But, oh Lord, lost the question. All right, hold on. In my time stream. Okay. I'm absolutely loving the return to hardcore Killer Frost edginess. But why is Barry, Mr. Forensic Scientist, always the last one to get who the guilty party is? Okay, see, here's my thing with Barry Allen. Okay, and I'm going to type this on the flash chat on Twitter. I don't understand why after all this time, the man is still such a poor judge of character. Okay? And I'm going to, Chris Colfer fan of old shows, says, good question. I have no idea why. I'm going to say, I don't understand how after all this time, Barry is such a poor judge of character, except when it comes to Thawne. Now, when it comes to Thawne, Barry's on top of it. Barry understands exactly who Thawne is. Okay? All right? Okay, Polly's saying again that back on question number 1, talking about Frost, that she has changed so much as a character too much. She's whatever Mary Sue they want her to be, not liking it much at all. And I will say to that, she does seem to flip personalities based on what the episode plot needs. Okay. In general, however, Frost has been immature and tantrum throwing. But when she was interrogating Mr. Doctor, she got, that old, when she was working for Amunet, when she was like a thug or a bouncer or undercover kind of thing, when Caitlyn was working at the bar trying to be hardcore, trying to be hard, Killer Frost had that edginess because she was, I won't use the word assassin, that's a little too hardcore, but she was, hired muscle sent to take people out or make them do what Amunet wanted them to do. Okay? All right. All right. Polly says to question 2, Barry ignored Caitlyn again like he has since she came to be. And he ignored all of Team Flash actually since episode 3. He should have been able to put it together and trust his friend over a stranger. Okay, and I'm going to say to that, I hate when Twitter is slow. I'm typing and it's like it's not responding fast enough. I'm going to say to that, and there it is. He should have trusted his friend, his best friend, over a stranger. That's absolutely right. Barry should have trusted Frost, okay? And he should have known to trust her by now because she, Killer Frost, is a really good judge of character. People don't like the fact that she's so blunt, okay? But she's a really good judge of character. She's on point, okay? All right. Okay, now Catherine, CTEMPJE says, unless you're taking a certain spin, she didn't lose him in season 1 or season 5. Okay. And to that, I will say that she didn't really have him in season 1. Which she didn't, because Iris was with Eddie. And I still say, Iris belongs with Eddie. Okay? Iris just belongs with Eddie. That's who she was happy with. That's the one relationship that brought out the best in her. Because that doesn't happen with Barry, I'm sad to say. Wish it was different. But anyway, okay, we're going to jump on to question 3. And I'm saying in question 3, so wait, Team Iris is adding Allegra as a regular? This show isn't crowded enough already. Does Iris need Allegra around on the regular to be a reporter? Now, I have to say, that really threw me. I've liked the development of Iris coming into her own, being a reporter, being focused on the journalistic side of being a part of Team Flash and being a part of the show, and she does it really, really well. But I'm saying to myself, does Iris need a sidekick? Does she already have Camilla? So why are they adding Allegra? I didn't understand that. Okay, Polly says, answer 3, no, there's too many people. Of course, calling her up or something on the lead would be okay, but we just add more and more. The camera's not big enough. This many people in a novel would be confusing. No. And to that, I'm going to say, right, Iris doesn't need a sidekick, and she already has Camilla. I think I've been spelling Camilla's name wrong. I'm spelling it out with a K. She already has Camilla. So why are they adding Allegra? I don't understand that, okay? Okay, Fabiello says she needs her for her story arc. I think this edition will do the show good because Iris has a career that she needs to work on a lot. This was ignored in the previous seasons, but they are getting it right, at least for now. Now that's very interesting. I think that's an interesting perspective. It's a very interesting perspective. So you think, I'm typing, this is what I'm saying. So you think Allegra is there for Iris's development as a journalist and a boss. As a journalist and a boss. Because again, she still has Camilla. So I thought Camilla was going to perform those functions, to be honest. Okay. All right. J. David Clark, which is J_David_Clark with an E, says, to answer 2, Frost was much better this week. And to that, I'm going to say, I'm going to hashtag Killer Frost is always better when she has edge. That is what differentiates her from Caitlyn. It seems like to me they have been trying so hard to make Frost like, maybe diet Caitlyn or, get her as close to Caitlyn as possible. I mean, I'm glad they kept her here. But what makes Frost that distinct personality, what makes her interesting, is the fact that, once again, she's never afraid to tell the truth. She's never afraid to put anybody on blast as she needs to. And she just goes for what she knows, man. She doesn't really hold back, okay? And Caitlyn is a lot more quiet, a lot more unassuming, a lot more sensitive of how people feel. And Caitlyn tries to be much more supportive, while Frost tends to be much more aggressive. So I like them drawing the character lines between the two characters. I don't think they should blur them. I don't think they should make them each softer versions of the other. I think that's a mistake. Okay? Snowberry Talk. Exactly like it sounds, Snowberry Talk says to question 1, answer 1. No, it's not. They mean everything to each other. Caitlyn's initial rage really made that obvious. It was a defense mechanism of her true feelings for him. Sister wife needs to accept that. Snowberry Talk is talking about Iris when she said sister wife. She's talking about Iris. I'm saying, ha ha, I laughed out loud at sister wife. But yes, Frost can't hide those intense feelings for Barry and being around him. She really can't. Because again, with Frost, what comes up comes out, which is like a child, but it's entertaining. And it's what makes her endearing. Endearing. I'm trying to talk and think and type, so my words get funny sometimes. It's what makes her endearing as a character. Okay. The Spectre says, wait, her name is Allegra? Isn't that an anti-allergy medicine? And the answer to that question is, yes, it is. Once again, I'm laughing. Yes, it is. Because when I Googled Alexa to find some pictures for the episode, what came up was the anti-allergy medicine, Allegra. I was like, no, I'm not. So I had to be more specific. I'm talking about The Flash, season 3, that character, not the medicine. Okay. Mauricio, RMC, which is en realidad nuoso, answering question 3 about Allegra. He says, I made the same complaint when I saw the episode and still don't believe that obsession to keep putting characters in. I think the hashtag of this should be the Team Flash. You're not the Flash, we're the Flash. What do you mean we? There's a meme underneath. And I'm going to say, I agree. Crowded, I'm going to say overcrowded already. Overcrowded as it is, and they're piling on more. Why? Why? That's just more people that need screen time, and to me, that also means less focus on Barry. Okay. Of course, my phone, as my little Darth Vader text, so I turn my phone off, I always forget that. So you said every year. So season 5. Season 5, did she lose him last year? I got to think about that some more. But anyway, okay. Answer 2, Snowberry Talk. Barry should have given Frost the benefit of the doubt. She's worked with a villain before. She knows how they operate. Barry should catch up. In fact, Frost was more CSI than Barry and Mr. Doubtful Allen. Haven't they been fooled before? And once again, I have to agree. Once again, I have to agree completely. I have to agree completely that they've been fooled before. But the first two seasons, they used the snake in the garden, the devil, the devil in your midst technique. So they had Harrison Wells be the villain, which is still, that first season is still gold as far as I'm concerned. And then second of all, in the second season, they had fake Jay Garrett come in, which is really Zoom. So twice in a row, they got fooled with, somebody trying to befriend them. And for some reason, they still don't have the security where you can just walk in Star Labs. That's a head scratcher. But anyway, okay, let's move on to question 4. Just moving on because we run out of time so fast, because I could spend so much more time. I'm trying to spend as much time on each question as I can, but I don't want to miss any questions. There are 12 questions in Flash Chat, so I want to be sure I get to all of them, and we're just on question 4, and it's already 1:20. Okay, question 4. Jingle bells, Harrison Wells, a new one every year. Maybe one day they'll go away and Harry will bring us cheer. Yay or nah on the new Wells? Okay? Let me read that again. Jingle bells, Harrison Wells, a new one every year. Maybe one day they'll go away and Harry will bring us cheer. Yay or nah on the new Wells? Okay, Fabiolo says, all I want is Harry the genius back, healthy and alive. As for this Wells, I need more evidence. And I'm like, that's right. Why can't they see that Harry was the best non-evil version of Wells? He was. Remember that Harry is from Earth 2. He was Jesse Quick's father. He was the best version of all the Wells in terms of someone that should have permanently stayed on Team Flash. I know they want to give Kavanaugh a chance to show off all these acting chops, but it's been kind of old, and they had the Council of Well things and whatever. That's kind of old. But Harry is the one that earned his place that needs to be on Team Flash on the permanent, as far as I'm concerned. Okay, Mauricio says, now I love what Mauricio says here. He says, I think there is no better example of the creative exhaustion that the series has than what they do every year with Wells. And I'm going to say perfectamente. That was perfectly stated. And it's oh so true. They need a new shtick. But what I prefer is the first comic of the Nephilim Wars will be a mini-comic published online for free. One new page will publish every Friday at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. If you enjoy this comic, you can get some exclusive content from it on Patreon. For a $2 pledge, which is only about 7 cents a day, you get exclusive black and white versions of the cover and the comic pages available only on Patreon, a black and white PDF of the finished mini-comic. For a $5 pledge, which is only about 17 cents a day, you get all of the above plus a pre-release view of all the color pages. For a $10 pledge, which is only 33 cents a day, you get all of the above plus a color PDF of the finished mini-comic and a chance to actually cameo in the comic when you sign an image release. If we can reach the first goal of $2,500, we can get the full color 24-page comic produced. Woohoo! Remember, you get a bunch of exclusive stuff on Patreon that you can't find anywhere else. The Nephilim Wars have started. You'll want to know what happens next. It's just the return of Harry. Okay? And that really is what I want. I really wish that Harry Wells would come back and, and I know Jesse has to stay on Earth 2 and guard the city and all that. That's cool. Jesse doesn't have to come back. But I think that Harry should. Okay, Critical Blast, spelled just like it sounds. Critical Blast says, in response to question number 4, not sure why every other doppelganger is near to identical, but every Wells is a caricature of a genre. But then I don't know why Reverse Flash went back to using Harry's face in the first place. And I'm going to ask for a little bit more clarification. What do you mean by that caricature of genre? Elaborate. Okay. Okay, now Polly basically says the same thing. Again, answering question 4. Polly says, man, why does every version of Wells have to be some extreme cheap knockoff of an already fictional character or so out there, or so out there flamboyant? It's insane. Is there only one normal version in the universe? If so, how come everyone else on other universes has the same attributes? And I'm going to say, very well said. It's like each Wells has one dimension, which is true, which is why I like Harry the best, because he had more than one. Each Wells has one dimension, okay? That he's got one main trait, and he keeps hitting that trait and hitting that trait and hitting that trait, and it's all in his speech and all in his accent and all in his clothes that I'm this. I'm this one thing, and this is all I do, and this is all I'm going to do, and every situation I'm in, I'm going to respond based on this one thing. That is indeed more of a caricature than a character. Okay? Now, Rob Bonnet, RBONNE1 says, Tom Cavanaugh is the MVP of the series, so new Wells is always welcome. That's interesting. So you're not tired of him? I'm asking Rob, which I find that very, very fascinating, because it seems like most people are tired of this rotating circle of Wells, but they just keep coming. Okay. Oh my goodness, no Mary talk. It's getting rough. She says, only reason I care is he could be the catalyst to oust the virus completely. Harry is still the best one. Harry is indeed the best one. How is he going to oust Iris? By revealing her future roots. Remember, Iris West, see, I'm talking to typing. Iris West in the comics is from the future. And she dies because Eobard Thawne kills her, but her parents actually go back and get her and pluck her out of the timeline and take her safely to the future. Barry goes to the future, finds her again, and that's when they have the tornado twins. So, I mean, it's really something. And so I've been wondering ever since the show came on, if they're actually going to do that storyline with this version of Iris. It'll be interesting. Okay. Question number 3, which was when Fabiello says that Allegra is there for Iris's development as a journalist, he follows up by saying, yes, I had been one of those who had said that she should get out of Star Labs, which is true. She's supposed to be a journalist, yet she was at Star Labs all the time. It didn't make sense at all. Apparently, Barry is preparing Cisco to be team leader, just like it's meant to be in season 4. Why do you think Cisco is going to get the job? Okay, and I throw that out to my listeners on Facebook and those of you on the podcast, or those of you that are watching this video on YouTube. Leave some comments below and let me know, do you think Cisco is the natural team leader? Do you think that he's the heir apparent to Team Flash? That if Barry does go away, Cisco should be the one that takes over? Or should it be Iris, like, you know, she was the boss last year, 2 years ago, whatever? Or should it be Frost? Okay? Very interesting. Okay? All right. Moving on. Oh, Brennan, and his handle on Twitter is Seth9, Sephnin. Brennan says to question 3, I say bring back Linda. Okay? Linda Park. And I'm going to say Linda Park was the most robbed character on this show. She is Wally's wife, and their love is legendary. And you would know none of that by watching this show, which is true. That's something I'm very hot and passionate about, because if you read the comics, you know that everything about Wally West, in terms of how he matured and grew up, revolved around the fact that he loved Linda and his family, their children, so much. And it's what made him a stronger character. And that whole thing about The lightning rod thing I told you before, that's Wally and Linda's thing. That is not Barry and Iris. They stole that. Excuse me. They stole that from Wally and Linda. Okay? And so the Linda Park we've seen on this show, they got it right that she's Asian. They got it right that she's a reporter, and that's it. She's the love of Wally West's life. And Ginger Wally, not Black Wally, but original Wally West. She's the love of his life. She's his anchor. She's the one that helps him get back to his time out of the Speed Force. They have kids together. Those kids have powers. Everything about Mark Waid's run really lifted up the Wally and Linda relationship and made it central. And you would know none of that by watching the Flash TV show. Okay? You just wouldn't know. Okay? Okay, Polly says on answering question 3, right, but if there is a need for more journalists, which a small newspaper should need, then an off-screen character that comes part-time here and there would be more than sufficient. And I have to say, to that, I agree completely. Because Iris does not have a major metropolitan paper yet. Iris does not have a major metropolitan paper yet. So we don't need, yet another cluttering character. Okay? Moving on to question number 5, because it's 1:30, and we're still not halfway through. There's 12 questions. Question number 5. Yep, well, Flash Frost is still the best duo super team on the show, period. Does Barry have a right to tell Frost how she's supposed to hero? And Fabiolo says, maybe not, but Barry cannot help and stay away from anything that is related to Caitlin. And I'm like, oh, you're giving me Smallville vibes with that one. Give me Smallville vibes with that one. Because Clark wanted Lana and Lois and Chloe for as long as he could have them all, which is true. I know they tried to downplay that, although they did call Clark out about it on one episode I didn't remember. But Clark definitely wanted to keep his harem around him as much as he possibly could. And Barry cannot stay away from Caitlin as much as he professes to love Iris. He loves Caitlin too, okay? All right, Polly says, I think she's way past this point, way past it. Maybe advice on right or wrong since she was an anti-hero, but this isn't needed one bit. So mundane, it's almost insulting. Okay, now, Snowberry Talk says, I'm telling you, this is the gold standard. The entire show needs to return to greatness. This is where it needs to build. Frost calls Barry on his ignorance, and Barry challenges Frost's battle instincts. They make each other better. Okay, and I'm going to say 100% spot on. They have always made each other better, no matter what form of Caitlin they were, no matter what form of Caitlin was present. Okay? So, okay, now I've got a reply from Bleached Danielle, and her handle is Dan Remnant 626. Answering question 5, honestly, I'm not sure he does, meaning not having the right to tell Frost how to hero. The very idea of there being only one way to be a hero is kind of a mess with so many shades of them. That's really good. Barry might have some experience, but Frost has, in my opinion, a lot less mistakes on her part than him. And to that, I'm going to say partially true, but Barry has been heroing, I know that's not a word, but it is now. Barry has been heroing longer than she has. So he has more experience, and that's why he has more mistakes, okay? It's just like a veteran sports player. If you've been playing football for a long time, you've got more interceptions, you've got more broken plays, you've got more everything than somebody who's just starting out, Okay? All right, Twitter is so slow sometimes. So slow. Okay, let me refresh this and let me see if we have any more answers before I jump to question 6. Let me see what else. If I missed anybody. Okay, nope. All right, let's jump on to question 6. I'm getting a lot of answers from other questions as well. So, question 6, here it goes. Also on the subject of Flash Frost, have they forgotten that Caitlin and Frost are still wanted by the police? Do they want to be revealing her secret identity to just anybody? That really bothered me because I know that this doctor dude is an old-time friend of Caitlin's, but that does not mean that he needs to know who Killer Frost is. And, you know, that she's Caitlin and all that. I couldn't believe that. I know that Barry has that same problem because Barry's always taking off his mask and I'm the Flash, I'm Barry Allen, blah, 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 blah. That's kind of like Barry's thing. And that's annoying every time he does it. But when they did it this time with Caitlin, I was like, Caitlin and Frost should know better than that. They don't need to be telling the world that they are one and the same. Okay? Fabiola says, even worse, Ramsey knows Caitlin. That's right. Polly says something very interesting. She says, I'm not understanding why we are getting no Caitlin at all when the plot is calling for her. Last week, this week, she's not there. I'm sure you will cover the biggest issue of this happening later on because it was in the last part of the show. Yes. Yes, I can't figure out if they think Frost is so popular. We wanted her to replace Caitlin because we don't. What I think is, oh, hold on, let me type this last part. I think it's the too much of a good thing syndrome, okay? And what I mean by that is there's a tendency in entertainment that if something works, that all of a sudden they just, you know, they just pile on and they just give it to you over and over and over and over again until you get sick of it. They don't have any balance. For example, that's how Family Matters became the Steve Urkel show, although it kind of worked in that instance. But once they saw that Steve Urkel was the most popular character, they basically built the show around him and even got rid of some of the Winslow kids because everything was Urkel, Urkel, Urkel. I'll try and say that 3 times fast. But so I understand that, and I understand we were just having the same conversation about Batman, about how Batman is kind of oversaturating everything that DC does, but he's their most popular character. Superman is the flagship character, but Batman is the most popular character. He's one of also the flagship characters with the Trinity, Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman. But now they kind of put Batman in everything. Everything possible they can put Batman in, they put him in it. And if sales are lagging, just add Batman. Okay, well, after a while, even though I love Batman, I want to see him as much as possible, you will reach an oversaturation point. It's possible that's what they're doing with Killer Frost. It's possible. Okay, now, Snowberry Talk again says something incredible. She says, I have been waiting for them to address this significant detail, but I think they want us to forget it, meaning that Caitlin and Frost are wanted by the police. Makes no sense, though. 3x7, season 3, episode 7, outlined consequences pretty clearly. Barry quit his job over it. Remember that? That Barry quit so Julian wouldn't prosecute Caitlin? They should mention something about it. And I'm going to say, absolutely right. Julian was on his way to prosecuting. I said prosecute. I'm talking too fast. Julian was on his way to prosecuting Caitlin, and Barry threw himself on his sword, metaphorically, to save Caitlin. But as far as I know, her record is still there. Did Julian expunge it? I don't remember. Okay? I don't remember if Julian expunged Caitlin's records. Maybe he did. I don't know. But I still think it's a very, 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 very bad idea for them to be revealing to anybody that Caitlin and Killer Frost are the same person. That's just bad business. I think it's going to come back to bite them. Okay. 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 Now Eric's chimed in. DJ Eric, good to see Eric. He's answering question number 3. He says, nope, it's a bloated show as it is. However, I think they needed non-Team Flash people to be with Iris in order to make it interesting. The real deal is they should have added her as a reporter 2 seasons ago when we didn't have so many characters. I'm going to say that's well said. They kind of missed their window with Iris, getting her to this point so late, because now there are so many people that need screen time, and all of a sudden, Iris's underdevelopment is showing. Now, there's an old trope, underdevelopment, let me spell that. There's an old trope that probably one of the oldest tropes in fantasy and sci-fi or just any kind of writing, and it's called hero's girlfriend. And what that means is that if you have a character and her only function is to be the hero's girlfriend, I'm going to actually say that to Eric too. Remember, Iris started out as a trope, hero's girlfriend. And that's really all she was. Now, in the very first episode, Iris loses her dissertation and blah, 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 blah. So they're kind of, hinting at the fact that she's intelligent, she's a doctoral candidate, blah, 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 blah. That's great. But Iris's function was always hero's girlfriend. And this tends to be kind of a thing on CW shows, and they kind of took it to another level with Felicity, because Felicity became, hero's girlfriend takes over. That's a different kind of thing. But basically, this particular kind of trope doesn't exist for any other reason than to be romantically involved with the main protagonist. Best example of that is, of course, Lana Lang on Smallville. There is no character on the CW that embodies hero's girlfriend more than Lana Lang on Smallville, because she had no arc past season 3. But she really had no purpose on that show other than to be romantically involved with Clark. And the way you know someone is a trope and not a character is when they have to keep finding nonsensical ways to include them in the show. And they either weave the plot, like Lana's plot was damsel in distress. Somebody would meet her, fall in love with her, they'd capture her, and Clark would have to come rescue her. That was pretty much her story over and over and over again. Then she got with Lex, and then she got super suit, blah, 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 blah. But her function was always hero's girlfriend. Lana had no other reason for being there. That's not how they introduced Lois. They introduced Lois a lot better. They introduced Lois with putting her pretty much on the path to becoming the reporter that we know. We see kind of the beginnings, like Lois Lane begins. We see what kind of person she was and how she had this nose for news, and everybody always knew that Chloe was, the real Lois. When they actually brought Lois on, then Chloe didn't have any more purpose either. But they showed us that Lois was going to be developing towards becoming the reporter that we knew. So Lois kind of had a life and a mission. She had some stuff going on. And then she kind of got involved with Clark, which is actually kind of what happened when Clark and Lois first meet, when Superman and Lois first meet in Action Comics #1, because he rescues her. But with Lana was only ever hero's girlfriend. And that's how Iris started out, as hero's girlfriend. So they're just now getting her to having a full and established storyline where she's not just Barry's wife, and she's not trying to be the boss of Team Flash, but she's got her journalistic thing going on. But it's kind of late in comparison to what's going on with the other characters. And it's in the midst of a convoluted and overcrowded cast. So, it doesn't really look like giving it attention now. Feels like, why do you care now? It just feels a little bit out of place. So anyway, I've got to move on to question 7 because I could talk about this stuff all day. Question 7. So Harrison Nash Wells is Batman now, but of course Iris can take him down. Of course she can't. Sure. Is there anything left for another Wells to add to Team Flash? Okay. Fabiolo says we're past that question. Tom is so good. That's why the previous Wells got a pass from me. Okay. Polly says, well, there's always room for a multiverse Indiana Jones, right? Right. We need him as much as we needed Indiana Jones 4. Okay, Eddie Weaving, EDDWEAVO, Ed Weavo says, more like Indiana Wells, like Cisco said. Pretty funny to see a Batman without a batsuit in this one. Makes me wonder if Cisco is going to be a type of Robin in this one. Okay, and to that I'm going to say, good point, but hasn't Cisco always been a Robin to whatever version of Wells is present? He as much as says the same in this episode. Because he does. He talks about their camaraderie, and he talks about the fact that whenever Wells shows up, he doesn't really like Cisco at first, and then they bond, and then they're buds, and blah, 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 blah. So Cisco's kind of always been a Robin to his Batman or a sidekick to his Indiana Jones Wells thing going on, you know? So, okay. All right, let's move on to question 8. And question 8, simple question. Can Iris trust Allegra? Okay, this is another one where it feels like to me, I don't understand why Barry and Iris are such poor judges of character. Both of them seem to have this issue. Okay. All right. Okay, Polly says we haven't seen enough character development or even been given a nudge to see she can be trusted. Of course, she already promised she would tell everything. Would you tell everything to one of your employees about you? I wouldn't. They work for you, not be your best friend. I'm going to say, that's right. Both Barry and Iris seem to be such continual poor judges of character. I just don't understand it. Especially with Iris being a detective's daughter. Okay, they've been hinting and showing outright all along that Iris has picked up so many things from her father, Joe West. And I agree, because of course you pick up things from your parents. Why hasn't she picked up his ability to case a location, to size up a suspect, to size up a person, to get some kind of feel for someone before you go running your mouth and telling your business? That doesn't make any sense to me, okay? Critical Blast says something interesting. He says, yes, but can Allegra trust Iris? And I'm going to say, interesting. What do you mean by that? Okay, because that's a very interesting kind of thing. Okay, it's 1:47. I'm going to jump on. Martha, the real Time Lord Jones, Ebony Stevenson says, still no Wally. True. Okay. All right. Yeah, this whole trusting thing just amazes me. Okay, but let's jump on to question number 9. Question number 9, I say, how come Barry is always the only one that can make Caitlin or Frost tell the truth about herself to herself? Okay. And Mauricio says, unresolved sexual tension. Sorry, not sorry, Iris. Another point where they aren't sure how to write the relationship since they royally messed up way back in season 1. I'm not shipping here. I stay away from that, Holly says. And now everything the writers do with these two seems awkward and off balance. And I'm going to say, I get that you're not shipping, but I'm snowbearing, because I am, all the way. And it seems like they try as hard as they can to ignore the love between them. and it never works. It's never fully hidden, which is the truth. Okay, you put Barry and Caitlin or Barry and Frost or Flash and Frost in a scene, they light it up. They light it up every time, even when Caitlin was evil and she hooked up with Savitar when she found out that Savitar was an evil time remnant of Barry. As soon as she saw it was Barry, what did she say? She said, "What do you need me to do?" Unbelievable. Nobody could talk Caitlin out of being evil or frosting out or going wild or whatever she was doing. And as soon as she saw Barry, she said, "Whatever you need." That doesn't tell you anything. Okay, but anyway. Okay, Jeffrey Meisner says something in response to question number 3, which is funny. That question, if you remember, was talking about adding Allegra as a regular. And Jeffrey Meisner says, too many, Barry is just a voice in the choir instead of the star. He said Barry is just a voice in the choir instead of the star. Okay? And I'm going to say that is the perfect phrase, and I'm going to be quoting you. Okay? Barry is just a voice in the choir instead of the star. Perfect. That's why I love talking to my peeps on Twitter, man, because they are always coming up with some great stuff. Okay? All right. Okay. Unresolved sexual sin, answer 9. Okay. Mauricio says about the new Doctor, by the way, I think that guy's running for the worst villain I've seen in this series. Oh, okay. All right. Let's look at question 10. Question number 10, dark matter has always been multi-purpose, but do you think it's alive like the Venom symbiote? Let me say that again. Dark matter has always been multi-purpose, but do you think that dark matter is alive like the Venom symbiote? Chris Colfer fan says, I'm not sure, but I think it could be. Polly says it very well could be. There are many things that seem inanimate that are living. Fire, for example. So yes, I think it might be a living substance. And I'm going to say to that, I just think with this new villain, they are going deeper than they have before. I think dark matter will be revealed to be a living thing before it's over. Because I do. And if that's the case, they're going to tell a whole bunch of new stories, Venom-like. Okay? All right, let me get on to the next question because I don't want to run out of time like I did before. Dr. Not Really Strange says that Snowberry is in game. That's really funny. Okay. Question 11. Killer Frost's powers now seem really muted. Anybody else miss the frost breath and ice slides? Because I really love that ice slide, man. That ice slide was one of the coolest things we've ever seen on this show. Okay? And I want to see that ice slide again. Why don't they have Killer Frost travel on that ice slide, man? It was just incredible. Okay? And she had the frost breath that she used to escape when she was in the police station. So, but anyway, Polly says I kind of missed them. But I just feel like Killer Frost, you know, her powers are muted. She has the ice daggers and she has the ice blasts. And then when she was fighting her father, I think she could either stand total zero or complete zero, or she could create absolute zero. She could create it as one of those. But it still feels like, you know, her powers are just really kind of all of a sudden muted. And I don't like that. I think that she needs to be at full power. Okay? Now, Polly says to that, she also says, it's just Caitlin Snow with white hair and blue lips. I feel like parts that should be Snow aren't, and there's no Frost either. It's like the Unincredible Hulk when they morph two people into one horribly. And I'm going to say the less said about Professor Hulk, the better. But you're right. By trying to merge them, they become not enough of either and thus become nothing. Okay? I'm not even going to get started on what I felt like they did to the Hulk in Avengers Endgame, and we didn't even get a rematch with Thanos. Thanos just, in Infinity War, Thanos just kicked his butt almost with no effort. It looked like Captain America was prevailing more with Thanos when he held up his arm in the Wakandan jungle than the kind of fight Hulk gave Thanos. It was embarrassing. And everybody from the comics knows that the Hulk's #1 tagline is Hulk smash. But his second tagline is the madder Hulk gets, the stronger he gets. And we all thought that in Infinity War, he was going to come back and get angrier than he's ever gotten before and rage out to the point where he was going to give Thanos the beating of his life, and he didn't. Okay, that's the way I'm starting to feel like Killer Frost, in terms of trying to turn her into Caitlyn, with the white hair. They're destroying both characters. We don't get the best of either of them at this point. Okay. All right. I like this answer from Misty Queen Chant, back on question 1. He said he started with Frost, though. Hopefully he talks things through with Caitlyn, too, which is a good point, because I was just kind of assuming telling Frost is like telling Caitlyn, but maybe there needs to be 2 separate conversations. So that's actually a good point. Okay. All right. And we're going to go to question 12, the last one, because we are just about out of time and I want to be sure to get it in. All right. I've been waiting to get to this one. Okay. Question 12, Eternium. That's from the Rock of Eternity. The Rock of Eternity. That means Shazam. Is it finally happening a Marvel Flash team up? Okay, now those of you that are listening may not understand any of what I just said. Eternium is an element that's part of, or it's the substance that builds the Rock of Eternity. The Rock of Eternity in DC Comics lore is a place kind of outside of time, and it's one of those kind of focal points to where you can go anywhere in time or space, or at least in time, I think, but time and space from the Rock of Eternity. The Rock of Eternity is also where the wizard Shazam lives in some incarnations. And the wizard Shazam is the one that recruited Billy Batson, gave him the powers of Solomon, Hercules, Atlas, Zeus, Achilles, and Mercury, and told Billy Batson to say his name. Billy Batson said Shazam, and became the original Captain Marvel, or the classic Captain Marvel. The new 52 version, they created a new character and named him Shazam, but the original character is named Captain Marvel, and he changes by saying the word Shazam and calling the wizard's name. So for Harrison Nash Wells to say that he's after Eternium, that's a direct link to the Rock of Eternity, okay? And if that's the case, if they're bringing the Rock of Eternity in, how can they bring that in and not bring Captain Marvel in? Although they'll probably bring in New 52 Shazam if they bring in any character. But still, now those of you that know me, those of you that follow me on Twitter know that I am an avid Captain Marvel fan. I love Captain Marvel. I have since I was a little boy. So it would just do my geek heart proud if they did a Captain Marvel, The Flash team up. That would just be incredible, okay? So let me see what people have to say. Polly says in answer to that, if Marvel is its own universe, because historically the Marvels have been on Earth S, so they kind of had their own Shazam Earth at first, and that actually still exists in continuity, but DC continuity has gotten so convoluted, you would need a serious, like something as big as, a refrigerator to understand what's going on now. But anyway, if they're in their own universe, it means Crisis is coming to that one as well, right? I mean, I see it, but maybe that's because I want it too badly. Okay, I'm going to say that's a great point that Eternium will feature in crisis. Maybe it's the solution that saves the day. But I can't believe they would introduce that element and not bring on Captain Marvel. I can't believe it. I have been waiting. That has been one of my dream episode ideas for The Flash ever since I started watching The Flash. That one day Billy Batson would meet Barry Allen and they team up, because both of them, they kind of ride the lightning. They both have lightning as part of their makeup as heroes. And it would just be cool to see them compare notes. They've raced in the comics. Captain Marvel has the speed of Mercury, which is the Roman name of the Greek god Hermes, which is the god of, in different incarnations, music, messaging, speed, flight, that kind of thing. And so the question is always, is Cap faster than the Flash? Okay? In this version, I can say unequivocally, Captain Marvel or Shazam is definitely faster than Barry Allen on the TV show The Flash, but not so much in the comics. But it would be great, absolutely great to see them team up. I mean, I just have been waiting, like I said, from the beginning. All right, it's 2 o'clock. That's our hour. I have so many more questions and answers, not questions. I read all the questions. I have so many more answers I would like to read, but I don't have time to read them all. So that's going to be it for this week. Thank those of you that watched me live on Facebook Live, those of you that are watching the video now on YouTube. Remember to leave your comments below so that I can continue to answer these questions, because there's obviously so much more to talk about. Thanks to those of you that joined me on Twitter. So good to see some new faces in the Flash chat. And thank you so much for participating. And so you're going to hear yourself shout it out. Obviously on this podcast, you've been listening to it. And so I'm happy to do that because I just love it. Talking to people, I just love hearing everybody's different opinions and perspectives on the episode. So thank you so much. And that's it for today's Flash Chat. I really don't want to go, but I have to go. So I will see you next time. Thanks, and enjoy the next episode of The Flash. And we'll see you next week. Like, subscribe, share, and ring the bell. And enjoy.